Hi everyone, this is Neil Wright, consultant, audiologist and director of ClearWax. Thank you for joining me in my latest video using the WAXscope, and here we have really dark, hardened, occluding earwax in this patient's left ear, and they do have a very narrow and also quite bendy ear canal, and this is a type of ear that can make earwax removal extremely challenging. So because they've got a very narrow ear, we're using the size 1 Specula. And this earwax is extending from the first bend, which is about 1/2 centimetre into the ear canal, all the way up to the eardrum. So in the case of the left ear, as we're examining the ear in this particular plane angle, just where the wax is there, the ear canal then veers off to the left. So our ears are not straight cylindrical tubes. They are, they've got an S-bend, so a sigmoid shape. And it can make earwax removal extremely challenging, especially when you've got this kind of cocktail of a narrow bendy ear plus really hardened and fully occluding wax. Now, I'm going to use some medical grade olive oil spray during the procedure at different points, and at one point I'm going to use the ear pick. Now, why are narrow ears more prone to wax buildup? Now, it could be that if this amount of wax was produced in my ear, for example, it's not going to be fully occluding. So it takes longer for a narrow ear to become fully occluding, and then the wax can really fill up the ear at a quicker rate. Because the ear is also bendy, it's a bit harder for the wax to migrate. It's more friction against the canal walls, again, especially if you've got really dry, hardened wax. Also, the glands that help produce earwax, they're located on the outer third of the ear canal. And when you've got a narrower ear, there's a greater surface area of the perimeter of the ear canal compared to the volume of the ear canal. So you're naturally going to get more wax potentially being built up in a small ear because of that surface area to volume ratio. Now, with narrow ears, it's all about it's about visualization with all ears, but particularly with narrow ears. So even with the size 1 Specula, this is a 3.5 millimeter diameter left to right, which is extremely small for wax removal. Most Specula for wax removal, the smallest size is around 4 millimeters. There are a few that are similar to the WAXscope that are smaller. But you can see the width, that's 3.5 millimeters. It's not going to fit in this patient's ear canal. And when I'm inserting it, I'm already stretching the ear open to try to fully insert the Specula as much as I can. But physically, it's not going to be able to enter any further because this patient's just got a really narrow ear. So that means for deeper wax, the magnification can be a bit more tricky, but with the WAXscope, because of the great magnification, it's less of an obstacle. But also with those hairs, you can see them on the right-hand side, that's the first bend. If the Specula was able to be inserted a bit deeper, we'll push those hairs out of the way. Again, with narrow ears, you've got less wriggle room, less space to maneuver the wax. So, you can see with the suction tip in the ear, I'm making little micro movements, whereas if it was a bigger ear canal, I could make more exaggerated movements. Because we can't fully insert the ear canal, we're not fully sure we can't see the ear canal deeper. So we've just got to be more cautious that we don't bump into the canal wall. Now, this is where I'm using the ear pick, and I'm kind of embedding it and trying to bring it forwards, but it's just not getting that purchase. You can't really use it. You can't physically use an ear hook in this ear because of the L bend at the end. It's too wide to be able to insert and then kind of insert into the wax. Similarly with a correct wouldn't really fit comfortably in the ear. Forceps, there's nothing to be able to grasp onto. So I did use the ear pick. Now the ear pick is great because compared to the ear hook, it's still got the same design tip, but it's in a straight line. You don't have that L bend, so I can insert it, but with this, as I'm putting it in, it's almost pushing it further in. So we're just going to persevere here with microsuction. Now this patient typically attends every year, and they have been for the last few years, and that's something we've kind of advised them to do because of the complexity and narrowness and bendiness of their ear. But it's been about 18 months, so it's just something that we reminded the patient. We have got a recall list with our new patient management system where we can contact them. We have a reminder and it can automatically contact them, so we've made sure we've added them to that. And the symptoms got a bit worse when they went on holiday recently. They did get some water inside, so the water can get absorbed by the desquamated dead skin cells that also form wax, and which absorb and expand and swell. And some of the water can enter deeper behind the wax, creating a puddle. So it is slow progress, but we have to make sure, so we do this as comfortably as possible. It is like stone, the wax. The surface is like sandpaper, so as we're bringing it forward, sometimes the patient could feel it rub. Now, was it uncomfortable? I wouldn't say it was, but they could feel it. So yeah, just going to be really gentle with this. So this is probably the maximum we can insert the Specula. And what's great about the WAXscope, not only the magnification, but it's the design of our Specula. So the ear canal is not circular, it's an oval shape. So there's additional space from top to bottom compared to left and right. And the teardrop Specula better resembles the natural ear anatomy compared to a circular Specula. So if this is a round, completely circular Specula, the instrument will be entering from a much lower angle, and it will actually start impeding the clinician's view, because you've got a small Specula and you've got a suction tip in there, and it's just blocking the view. But with the teardrop design, you can see you've got this extra space at the top. Now, ironically, the height of the Specula would be able to enter this small ear. It's just the width. But we can utilize this additional space at the top of the Specula, so we can insert the instrument from a higher angle going down, as you can see just now, which enables the clinician to both fully visualize the wax in the instrument. We've had a lot of specialists in the past who come from our training, and they advise, even with a 4mm Specula, so that's typically what they use for small ears, when they insert the suction tip in, it almost takes away the view of the wax, which is obviously not ideal. And that's even with a smaller suction tip. So the suction tip that I'm using is actually the 14 gauge. This is the normal suction tip that I use, because I need that additional power. It wouldn't really vacuum with a 18 gauge or a fine end, or even a 16 gauge. So these are the complexities with earwax removal. Sometimes I was with some friends and cousins over the weekend, and we just brought up my wax removal videos, and just asking some questions, and some of them did say, oh, they read some really weird and horrible comments, and they were just fascinated like why that happened. And I said, look, I really don't know. I think a lot of people think earwax removal is straightforward, and that's why you're seeing this big increase in people who are either registered and qualified clinicians but nothing to do with ears. So I'll give you an example of that. So we're getting opticians, physiotherapists, and chiropractitioners, podiatrists, if I've not mentioned them already, with no clinical experience performing earwax. Because I think genuinely they watch videos and they think it's easy, and some of the videos that they may watch online, I know myself and a few other specialists do upload kind of the more complex procedures, but every case has the potential of being complex. And also there's a big uptick in people who have got no clinical background. In fact, just last week we got contacted by someone who has been trained elsewhere for earwax removal, and they want to become a clear wax specialist. And so when we did some further research, because they didn't provide us with any of their credentials, they simply said they're a qualified earwax removal specialist, which to become a qualified earwax removal specialist, you must be a suitably qualified professional. And it was actually on their Facebook company page for their earwax removal service that they started. They wrote that they are the manager of a betting shop, and they're kind of doing earwax removal on the side, which was really scary. So unfortunately, this is the UK at the moment. Anyway, back to the procedure. So we are getting there. It may not look like it, but it is now. So on the right, you can see the flesh just to the bottom of the suction bit. That's the first bend, and to the left, the flesh is the second bend. So this is the kind of the narrowest part. So we are bringing it through this area now, slowly but surely. Now, I am going to be uploading another video on my... So I've got 2 YouTube channels. If you're watching on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, for example, I normally just post on the one main channel. But on YouTube, a lot of the people who enjoy my endoscopic videos don't like seeing WAXscope videos on that channel, and vice versa for the WAXscope channel. So I've got a YouTube channel. If you just type in clear wax on YouTube, that's where you'll see this video. But I'm going to try and upload another video of a patient where I used the endoscope. And this patient's ear canal at the entrance is completely closed. And they are a long-standing patient of mine, but they were previously advised that they may need ear surgery, a canaloplasty or manoeuvrability to open up the ear, because you couldn't physically insert a specula into the ear at all. So I'm going to upload that. And that kind of illustrates why an endoscope is absolutely really good in those cases, but obviously it's very difficult to become fully proficient with an endoscope. So we're nearly there. We do actually manage to get quite a good view of the eardrum, actually, surprisingly, given how narrow the ear is. So just with this patient, just reminding them from every year, and also I normally don't recommend patients to use drops when they come visit myself. It can actually make the situation worse. But with this patient, there's obviously exceptions for each patient. So this patient, just for a couple of days before, just to use some olive oil, just to soften it. So because it's such a solid plug, it's trying to come out in a big piece. If it was a bit softer, it may just separate a little bit easier, just making the procedure a bit quicker. Although, although editing time is 30 minutes, it's probably in the chair for about 16, 17 minutes as coming out on occasions. So I used to use the endoscope for this patient, but I just find the WAXscope actually, because I can partially insert the specula, I prefer the WAXscope in this case. But with the other case I'm going to upload on my other YouTube channel, the Wax Whisperer, I physically can't insert a specula in. And hence why this patient was advised that they may need ear surgery, which ironically, although I'm going to talk about it more in that video, but although the ear canal is completely shut, when we remove the wax, they can hear really, really well. So I was quite surprised that they could even hear, given how narrow their ear was. So let's go have a final look at the patient's eardrum. Again, I can't insert the specula any further, so those hairs are going to be there. Just a bit of skin on the bottom part of the eardrum, but that's not significant. Nice healthy eardrum otherwise, slightly vascularized because the wax was there. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, speak soon.